Well, greetings YouTube, LMS Tactical here. I'm leaving a walk with Mason, and he tends to cry when he's in the truck still. He just turned 5 months old. So he looks big, but he's a big baby. And he's learning that the truck brings him to fun places, but it's a habit now for him to whine the whole drive. So if it's too loud, I won't show the video. But I thought I'd kill the time by telling a story that's not really anything, it's not normal channel related, but what the hell, I've been thinking about it. Mason, it's okay. It's like the title suggested, it's my first jump in Army jump school in 1980. And it's just, it's not going to be interesting to anybody that's not interested. Wow, the science that went into that statement. But here we go. So I grew up in Los Angeles, California. Stop that. Inglewood, Hawthorne, they're little cities south of LA. And I was rather impoverished, to say the least. And for that and other reasons, I had never really left the area. And I'd certainly never been on an airplane before. And so at 18, I joined the Army, and I just wanted to be a paratrooper. I mean, had to have those wings. I saw some commercial. And so I get on the airplane to go to basic training, which was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And I was just amazed, I mean, I hadn't been anywhere, seen anything, and this airplane flight was intriguing and scary and the whole bit. But I get to basic, and I go through basic training. Then I go through my advanced training, which in my case was field radio. I was the guy with the radio on his back, walking around like a target next to the commanding officer. I think the life expectancy of a combat field radio operator is something like 0.6 seconds once the gunfire starts. Oh, he's a baby. But anyways, so I get into jump school, which is 4 weeks. And it was like 0 week, ground week, tower week, jump week. And so it's actually, it's 3 weeks of training. The other week was like processing in and doing all kinds of other stuff. And the training is harder than basic training. I mean, it's not something that can't be done physically, but it's it's challenging, especially for somebody that hadn't done anything physical. It wasn't physically active, but it wasn't like a nightmare or anything. And so you get through the different weeks of training. The ground week, which is all physical, run, try to see if you got any problems running. Everywhere you go, you run. If you got to walk 10 feet between you and a target or an officer or a latrine, you got to run. And so that's ground week. And then, exercise, blah, blah, blah. And then tower week, you're jumping off of these 34-foot towers and over and learning how to deal with that and check your canopy and, all parachute stuff. And then jump week comes along. And it sounds so stupid, man, but I guess I had never really considered, in all of the thought I'd put into being a paratrooper, I never really worked out the details that I was going to be leaping from an aircraft while in flight. I know it sounds insane, but come on, man. I was 18, and I ain't the brightest guy in the world, and I get there, but I get there late. So let's see. We were in jump week. In those days, you jumped from a C-141. That's a jet transport. And then you also had to jump from a C-130. Everybody knows what that is, for your propellers. And then you jumped from a C-123, which was like a smaller C-130. And you have to make 5 jumps in order to get your jump wings. And then you go on to wherever you go. So we are loading up into the airplane, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was a C-130, the first jump. So we get in there, and we're in these sticks, which are rows of guys, and everything's fine, man. I got no fear, nothing, man. I'm just rocking the Vida Loca and ready to do whatever we're doing. It's like sun up to sundown, man. That's how you do it in jump school. And the plane takes off. So this is my second airplane flight. I hadn't really considered that I wouldn't be landing with the next 5 flights in the airplane. So we're sitting there, and the airplane takes off, and then you got hundreds of guys, facing each other. And, they let them go out in, relatively small groups as they pass over the drop zone. Well, I'm in the first group, but I'm sort of in the middle of the stick. And as the plane is, getting to altitude and there's some turbulence, and the jump master and the Air Force dude, they open the door of the airplane, the side door. We were on the left side of the aircraft. It was the pilot side. And so all of a sudden, from where I was sitting, and this is going to sound so weird, but I'm just being honest. From where I was sitting, I could look down and see trees and things as we're coming down to jump altitude, which, what the hell was jump altitude in those days? I think it was like 3,200 feet or something. Because the normal combat height altitude is 800 feet, but I think we were jumping higher. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we were jumping higher in jump school. Somebody that went to jump school backed me up on this. I think it was like 3,200 feet. I'm drawing a total blank here. But I believe it was higher to give us time to hit our reserve and to realize that we, shit our pants and we're heading to our death and whatnot if things went wrong. So I look down, and when I see the ground, Mason, when I see that's the sound I was making. When I see the trees and the drop, everything coming into view, and you can hear the engines and smell the exhaust from these giant propellers. I can't tell you the horror that came into me, and I don't know why it was. It just hit me, man. I was 18. I can't explain it, but it just dawned on me, like right in front of my face. You're going to jump out of an airplane, and I think I literally felt the color drain from my face, and it was like the first time, and since the whole time I'd been in the Army, that I had fear, and it was like unadulterated fear. I was gonna die. Look at this guy, Mason. You calm down. So anyways, I look at the guy next to me. I don't even know who this dude was. And I'm like, hey man, I don't think I can do this. Oh, P.S. They make it abundantly clear in jump school. When you're right there at when the ramp, you're getting ready to go up the ramp into the airplane. They say, if you board this aircraft, you will not land with it. If they got to throw you out asshole over tea kettle, they'll do it. And they tell you stories of how they've done it, and they've had to fist fight guys to throw them out, and they will not land with you. So if you want to quit, this is the moment to quit right now. And those went right through those instructions went right one ear and out the other. I can't see, dude. Okay, calm down, man. I can't see. Mason, sit down. So I tell this guy, hey man, I don't think I can do it. And the guy's looking at me, and and I'm thinking, seriously, like, I don't think my body's gonna work. I don't think I'm gonna be able to stand up. The jump master, somehow, because he was good at what he did and he could read people so well, and these guys are like the gods of the Army, in my opinion, especially in those days. These jump masters, we called them black hats because they wore, you guessed it, black hats. And they were like robots, man, like death machines. You didn't fuck with these guys. I mean, he must have saw my face and read the horror, and I'm in the middle of the stick, and all of a sudden he's just in my face. He takes 2 steps and literally crosses the entire half of the airplane, and he goes, you, and he's yelling, and it's really loud in there with the door open and the props blasting. He goes, stand up, and he's making his face like Sergeant Death, man, and I'm like, I right away, you do what you're told. And he grabs me, man, and he goes, I'm gonna put you first out of this aircraft, and I'm gonna put your ass in the door early. And he's like right in my face. And I think he had waffles for breakfast that day, and it was like an old-fashioned maple syrup, but I digress. So he says to me, and when that light, there's a red light and a green light. When the light turns green, they tap you on the ass and you jump, or they put their boot in your ass and you go out the door. And he says, when that light turns green and I tell you to go, you better fucking go, or I'm gonna boot your ass out of this aircraft. And he grabs me and he marches me up to and I'm afraid, like everything in my body, Mason, stop. Everything in my body is telling me that not to go near the door, because I somehow thought if I went near the door, I'd get sucked out of the airplane or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's what it felt like. And the plane's rocking and rolling, and you got, it's just a bunch of, shit that I'm not used to, sensations I've never felt. And so he's dragging me up to the freaking front of the stick, and he tells the first guy to go sit where I sat. So I blew this poor dude right out of his, which ultimately turned out to be the best position in the world, is the first jumper is a great position. And because I was jumping radios and heavy gear later on in my service, I almost always had first jumper or at least second. I had too much shit to be walking across the aircraft, or I'd delay everybody. So we get up there, and he has me stand there, and he has to lean out and do his checks and make sure there's no obstructions and whatnot. And this Air Force dude, he's like a loadmaster or something. He's sitting there, and he's got a parachute on. He's hooked up in case he falls out. And he looked, and you always look at guys in those days, when they're older than you, look at them as like a lot older than you. Like, this is like a grown man. The guy was probably 24. But he looks to make sure the jump master's not looking, and he goes, "Hey, son, I promise you're going to be okay." And I'm thinking to myself, that's because you're not going out of this fucking door like I'm getting ready to do. But it was at that moment, and here comes the end of the story almost. At that moment, I made a conscious decision that no matter what happened, I figured, accept your death, Mike. You're not going to survive after this jump. I just told myself that. I said, but God damn it, do not puss out here. Sorry, ladies. You gotta, when that light turns green, you give a strong, vigorous exit, and you do everything you're supposed to do and look good when you go to your death. And that just snapped me right out of it. I was like, you're a paratrooper, man. Not yet, but I was going to be after my fifth jump. And sure enough, man, the light turns green. After I was standing in the door, and I'm looking at he puts me in the door. Stand in the door. I get in the door. I still got to wait, I don't know, man, 30 seconds. It felt like 6 hours. Propellers, man, right there. Whoa. Ground coming by, I see the drop zone coming up. We cross over the little road area that it denotes the one end of the drop zone. And all of a sudden the light's green. He slaps me on the ass. Go! And I just exited that aircraft, man, like I was taught. And it's a horrendous noise, for those that have never done it. And it goes from absolute like audible chaos to a violent parachute opening, and then absolute beautiful serenity, and you're floating along, and as you look up, you see the airplane with your buddies coming out of it, up above you to your right, once you've checked your canopy and you've done everything you're supposed to do. And as you're coming down, you're like, it's like a dream. Then I thought to myself, okay, you survived the jump. Don't break a leg, man. Don't break a leg. So you got to start thinking, how do I land it? What's my PLF, my parachute landing fall? So I go through that. And when I land on the, now here's the end of the story. When I land on the drop zone, this Fryer drop zone is what they called it. But they have a rule on your first 4 jumps. You must run full speed, pack up your chute and run to the rally point. And you find out later, that's so they can see if you're not, they don't want you masking an injury and then getting hurt worse because you didn't want to get recycled or whatever. So they drive around in Jeeps, and they got these megaphones, and they're yelling, turn into the wind, turn into the wind. And they tell you, hey, you're going to hear that voice. It's not God, it's us telling you to face the wind. And, they got all this stuff to slow down the parachute. Well, I land perfect, and my chute kind of comes down on the ground, and I'm laying on my back. And I'm literally like hypnotized. I'm laying on my back on the drop zone, and above me are planes coming into view. And little...
Say a command.
Oh, God, I hate it when it does that. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, so these little planes and little guys are coming out, and I see their chutes opening, and I'm literally, this is what's going on in my head. I just jumped out of an airplane. I just jumped out of an airplane. Oh my God, I did it. Well, all of a sudden I hear this, airborne, that's what they call us, airborne, and it shocks me because I don't know what the fuck I'm listening to. And I look over, and there's this Jeep rolling up, and this guy's driving, and this black hat standing out the back with this megaphone, and he's looking like the same dude that just fucking was talking to me in the airplane. It's not him, but it looks like him. And he goes, are you injured? And I'm like, I shake off my dream. I'm like, no, Sergeant Airborne.
He goes, well, then what the fuck are you doing laying there? Get your ass up, get your shit, and get to the rally point. You know, and because he goes, what are you doing laying there? This is the best part. And I said, I was just thinking about what I just did, Sergeant Airborne. And he goes, get your shit together, back up, get to the rally point. And I'm grabbing shit. All of a sudden he goes, Airborne. I look up and he goes, got your dick hard, didn't it? I'm like, clear, Sergeant Airborne. And he took off, and that was my story, man. And after that, I couldn't get enough of it, man. I jumped, even after I got out of the Army, I was jumping as a civilian until I got so much metal in my body and knees and neck, I can't do it. But there's always water jumps. But anyways, yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you. Hope you guys are doing good. Oh, he's gonna yawn. Oh, look at him, he's a good boy. Anyways, you guys stay. I hope you enjoyed that. Say goodbye to Mason. Hey, Mason. And LMS Tactical and Mason, we are out.